Hey guys, welcome into the Snap. Your boy Mac here holding it down with Lando. Look, the 2022 season is officially underway. Rookie season has started. Lando and I have already done a couple rookie drafts. But hey, we're going to get through this today. We're going to talk about some rookies that we like, go through our rankings after the dust has settled from the NFL draft, and do based on your request. One of our listeners said, hey, can you guys do a strategy video for a quick 3-round rookie draft? And we said, absolutely. It's a perfect topic to get back into the swing into things with content coming out in the off season and gearing up for the NFL season.
Yeah, Mac, I am excited. We are back. We are back to a regular schedule. We hope to record every Tuesday night. If you're listening to this on podcast form, this should be going live Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, depending on how quick I get this thing out. But either way, throughout the season, we will be live. We will answer all your questions if you decide to tune in on YouTube at the end of the show. So if you are able to catch us and you have questions, whether it's waivers, start sits, anything, we will answer your questions. So make sure to comment down below or either down below in the video if you're asking afterwards or in the live comment section, and we will get to your questions after the fact if they're good. If they're not good, we'll probably skip them.
How you doing? How's your rookie draft been going so far? Anybody that you found yourself reaching for when you're under the knife, when you're in the chair? What are you thinking?
Yeah, on
What's your
the
reaction so
pressure
far?
seat, it's different than when you're just sitting back doing rankings. The
100%.
truth comes out when you're on the spot. But my rookie drafts have gone fairly well. I have Kenneth Walker's share that I didn't expect to have. I have a lot of James Cook, Mac, and
Yeah.
we're going to go through strategy today on how we go about our rookie drafts. And the running back need, the running back thirst is a real thing. You'll probably find that in a lot of your leagues where it's hard to get and trade for running backs. They're a hot commodity, and James Cook seems to be one of those guys that I've been reaching on a lot. What about you, Mac? How is your rookie draft season going? How's your off season going? Have you added more leagues? How you feeling, my man?
Oh man. Yeah, we added another league, another
Yes.
dynasty league, which is always fun. And I'm typically the go low and slow. Like I'll build it slowly with picks and I'll use the draft. But in this one, I had a really deep draft and I decided I would 2-for-1 trade my way to some relevance. And that's fun. I like playing dynasty different ways, and for a new league with a small entry fee, why not? But yeah, you know what, dude, and we talked about this off air, but I literally have walked away with Jahan Dotson in like 80% of my drafts. And I don't know if it's just because I have later draft slots or what the case is, but I just find myself with Dotson. And I don't know how I necessarily feel about that. I'm not the biggest fan of Jahan Dotson to have, an 80% share across all of my leagues, but you know what? It's fun. It's fun.
Well, and we'll talk about strategy and rookie draft strategy because you do need to take into account the real life draft capital that these NFL teams are putting on these players rather than just great landing spots. Because Jahan was a high draft pick by the Washington Commanders, and even though their outlook right now doesn't seem super bright, it could very well be good long term, and he'll get every opportunity to fail in that offense where a later round guy that you might have thought was landing in a better place, like a Sky Moore, his leash will be shorter than Jahan Dotson. So although we have Sky Moore ranked higher, you need to consider landing spot as well as the draft capital spent.
Yeah, and well, when you listen to this, whether it's right now live or down the road in August, the strategy that we talk about is going to be the same. The players are going to be different. Like Dev right now, longtime member of our channel, chimes in and says, "I got James Cook at the 205 in a league," and that's amazing. Right now, James Cook, weeks probably removed from that draft, is going at the 107, and that could go higher. That could change. We could see Kenneth Walker get a boost up with this news that Rashad Penny is struggling. What did you say? It was a hamstring that he's struggling with?
Already. Yep.
Yeah, those soft tissue issues lingering. So keep in mind the players we talk about at these spots are not necessarily, the be all end all, but the strategies themselves, trading up, trading back, reaching for positional scarcity, whatever the case may be, the concept remains the same, but the players are interchangeable. Talking about rankings, we've got ours, and we're going to go through just very quickly wide receivers, running backs, and then quarterbacks and tight ends. And we're going to keep this within the realm of a 1 QB league, full PPR, not talking about super flex or tight end premium leagues, because honestly, this year they probably look very similar. Sad to say. I could see someone reaching for Kenny Pickett. We saw in a Superflex Dynasty rookie draft, Kenny Pickett went at the 102 right after I took Breece Hall at the 101. That was shocking. I don't blame that manager for doing so, though, with the value of quarterback. But other than Kenny Pickett, it's really going to be very similar.
Yeah, and understanding value this offseason, it seems to be the trend while you and I discuss trades and how people value players and our Discord. If anyone listening wants to join our Discord, if they have dynasty trades going on, we have a ton of really good, smart people in our Discord to bounce trades off of. But the value of quarterbacks and if the value of your quarterback in your super flex league is low, you might as well let and wait or trade back in your drafts to get these players, even though in a superflex league, they should be really high. And if in that superflex league, quarterback value is high and they're held tight and it's hard to get quarterbacks, then I absolutely understand drafting quarterback at the 102 spot, like you just mentioned.
100%. So looking at these wide receiver rankings, Lando,
Yes.
we are not too far. We did these separate from each other. We are not too far off on a lot of these players. Honestly, I think like the biggest differences come at the bottom of the board. When we look at guys like I have Wan'Dale Robinson inside my top 12. You have David Bell inside your top 12. But other than that, we have all the same players in and about the same order. Drake London is our consensus 1. And then at 2, we flip flop between Garrett Wilson and Treylon Burks. Any reason why you gave Treylon Burks the nudge over Garrett Wilson?
It's really the big trade that Tennessee made, trading away AJ Brown and acquiring Traylon Burks, and he will get every opportunity, like I mentioned, to get targets and often. And the quarterback situation in Tennessee is really good, and we know that Tannehill is a although they don't pass a ton, he will. I mean, we looked at today, AJ Brown had a roughly 30% target share in that offense. So the vacated target share, the vacated targets isn't a lot. It was only about 105 the past 2 seasons for AJ Brown. But I do believe that Treylon Burks will get a good chance this year to produce early. And if he produces early, that value will go up. Despite I do like the talent of Garrett Wilson a lot. And if he ended up in a different spot, I think it would be a little bit of a different story. But Treylon Burks' value can spike early because of this projected very good Tennessee offense.
Right. Then we flip-flop Jameson Williams and Christian Watson. I will quickly make the case for Christian Watson over Jameson Williams, at least in year 1. We kind of talked about if you're drafting somebody as, a mid to late pick, and you need to take Jameson Williams or Christian Watson or Sky Moore, let's just say you're between those guys. I'm going Christian Watson because I believe he has the greatest opportunity. When you talk about an offense that lost Devontae Adams, who hasn't really done anything other than grab Sammy Watkins in free agency, Christian Watson now has to beat out Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Sammy Watkins, and maybe Robert Tonyan. That's not a very compelling list of wide receiving threats that he has to beat out. And at 6'5", running a sub 4.4 40 time, this guy has a lot of tools that will help with the deep ball. you want to talk about a piece that they are going to desperately miss in this offense. It's Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who has the most yards per reception since 2019 in the NFL. You want to talk about a big hitter, a home run ball for Aaron Rodgers. It's now gone alongside Devontae Adams. So I think Christian Watson can come in, fill a lot of holes in this offense. Granted, he is a rookie, and Aaron Rodgers has never thrown more than 39 balls to any rookie wide receiver. Things are going to have to change. And I think, Christian Watson could be the cheat code.
I know we don't want to take too many listener questions here, but Travis from the Fantasy Whisperers, what is going on, my dude? We need to have you on the show.
100%.
Appreciate you. They've been grinding all off season. We took a break this year, and the first time ever in our show's history, we've actually taken a little bit of extended break. The Whisperers have been still grinding, so we see you guys. Great work as always.
And dropping a little Jalen Tolbert love in the chat, which not in the list for us.
Dallas Cowboy.
Yes.
Wide receiver.
So yeah, long-winded argument for a Green Bay Packer. I know, really off-brand for me. But I'm very bullish on Christian Watson. I'm especially for a year one return. Return on investment could be huge.
That's essentially using the argument I had for Treylon Burks versus Garrett Wilson, and this is the other way around. Now, with the draft capital that was used on Jameson Williams, you will have to wait on him. You're a first round wide receiver that you're going to take at the mid first, late first round. You're going to have to wait till possibly early to mid October for him to even touch the field. So he is a guy that almost a luxury pick at the back of the first round. If you're looking at Jameson Williams, I do like him. I like his talent. But you're right, Christian Watson, his value will spike again because of his opportunity with Aaron Rodgers. But I think that you make a compelling point.
I try to. It's something I pride myself on with those Green Bay Packers. Sky Moore, Chris Olave, we flip-flop them. I kind of see Chris Olave as more of a longer-term piece at this point than Sky Moore maybe being a shorter-term asset. I do believe that Chris Olave is a better football player than Sky Moore. I do think that there might be greater potential for fireworks with him this year in such a high-powered offense, but they do get Marquez Valdes-Scantling, again, that big home run ball, who will compete with Sky Moore. They do get Juju Smith-Schuster, and Travis Kelce is still Travis Kelce. So there's a lot more competition for Sky Moore, but he does have the ability in that offense to make big plays, and I think that's what you kind of look to him to potentially be.
Yeah, I find myself passing on Olave at every chance I get. I don't think he's that good of a receiver, and I need to be convinced. Take. I need to be convinced that he is a true NFL wide receiver with upside. Maybe I need to spend more time looking at film, maybe checking out that New Orleans beat report, checking out some practices, because Olave right now seems to be just a guy that I don't really like.
Fair enough. I'll bring up two guys before we depart onto running backs. Alec Pierce and John Mechie III both land in really good situations. John Mechie just has a lack of talent around him. It's Brandon Cooks, and that's like end of list. So
the disrespect for Brandon Cooks.
No, Brandon Cooks is here. Brandon Cooks is here. And then there's like a wide gap, and then just John Mechie slides himself in. His role cemented. They spent the draft capital. He's their number 2. And it's there's no there's no debate about that. So I think John Mechie is super safe for 2022. I think Alec Pierce has a really good chance to establish himself in this offense alongside Michael Pittman, because the Colts decided to give it a shot with Carson Wentz. He was cheap. They went forward with it, and they found out that Carson Wentz sucks. So the alternative game plan was give the ball to Jonathan Taylor 35 times a game, which turned out to be amazing for fantasy. But now they bring in Matt Ryan, who we know Matt Ryan's tenure as a quarterback in this league can support multiple wide receivers, did it with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. And you go back down the years and you see that his arm has supported these guys. can he support Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce? And Alec Pierce come in and challenge guys like Paris Campbell, who have never been healthy, and T.Y. Hilton, who is, blurring the lines between playing and retiring. I think the answer is yes. I think he comes in and fills a role that they so desperately need to fill.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's where I can see the path. I absolutely
Right.
agree. Um, a guy, what are your thoughts about George Pickens? I want to bring him up before we go because Pittsburgh is renowned for drafting really good wide receivers, drafting well at the wide receiver
Mhm.
position, going back to Antonio Brown. Do you think he can build that relationship with Kenny Pickett and be relevant early, or is he more of a talent? He was really good his sophomore season and got hurt, and in the season he was one of the best prospects coming in,
Yeah.
and he fell off a cliff.
Dude, had he not torn that ACL, George Pickens might have been a top 3 wide receiver in this class. Like, I truly think he's that good. I think he has the ability to make a difference, and I think that the Steelers got a discount on him if he can be the guy I think he can be.
Right.
And you're right, they hit on these guys. I mean, it's not just in recent years like Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, but you even go back, you look at like Martavis Bryant had he played it out.
Sure.
Like they hit on later round wide receivers, and they do a really good job developing them. Um,
And I mean, off the field concerns, like we didn't hear a peep from Antonio Brown for years. They had
right.
Lev and Antonio on the same team, and we kept things quiet. So the rumors of maybe George Pickens being a bit of a character, I mean, he should find a good home in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and the good point here that Travis makes is that with Calvin Austin III, George Pickens coming in, there's a decent chance that they don't even have to pay Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay Johnson is worth it. I don't think the resume that Chase Claypool has put up so far warrants big money, but he might get money somewhere. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely, they don't have to. And Najee's a couple years away. Najee will probably be retired by the time his second contract comes along.
So
Coming into the league at
yeah.
29. Stuff.
So should we get into running backs?
100%. Yeah, let me switch that over real quick.
I mean, running backs is why everyone comes, and we need to find that late round running back. The Antonio Gibson, when Mike Wright came on our show
He
and
did.
touted his rookie Antonio Gibson. I was thinking about that today as I was driving home. We need to find that late round guy that breaks out and that comes and really helps you win your season late in the year when you inevitably running backs are hurt and banged up, and you need that rookie to come in with fresh legs.
That's what it is, man. And I think I mean I have love for somebody at this point, and I've highlighted a couple places that we are different. Our top 3 are consensus. It's straight across the board. Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, James Cook. And I think when you look at Brees Hall, he is without a doubt in my mind the number 1 running back in this class. It's not
Mm-hmm.
close. Irregardless of him going to the Jets, I still feel great about him. Um, got the vision, got the skill set, he has the pass catching ability. Kenneth Walker, I mean, a little bit of a bump with Rashad Penny. That news is nice. James Cook, I think when you look at the Bills trying to go out and get a guy like JD McKissick and missing and then paying up in the draft to get James Cook, I think that speaks to what they want to do with the football on the ground. But as we go down this list, we have some discrepancies, and I've highlighted them. We have some big changes in Dameon Pierce, and we have some larger changes in Hassan Haskins. So I don't know. Talk to me about Rashad White and Isaiah Spiller and why you have them ahead of a guy like Dameon Pierce.
So a lot of the narrative around these rookies is that an injury needs to happen for them to get the workload,
Mhm.
and that would be the what needs to happen for Rashad White and Isaiah Spiller. But because of the elite offenses that they're on, I think that will lend them. That should give them the best draft capital as a when you do the rookie draft. Those need to be highlighted because they're potentially elite handcuffs and a handcuff that could get the job in a year's time. Where Damian Pierce, Algier, they could get the workload year one. I don't think they will get the full workload. They'll get work year one. But I believe that their offenses will split it. They don't have the draft capital. I don't think they have the skill set to command a giant workload. Most of these offenses, if they don't have a quote unquote stud, will split time. Rookies typically are bad pass blockers. So you need to be able to protect your quarterback on passing downs. And if you can't, then you are limited to first and second down work, maybe first down, and then you get taken off the field. So these players, these running backs, although it looks like they have a clear path to relevancy, their draft capital doesn't really say it, and they're going to need to show on the field that they can protect the quarterback. So I think that's where I land on those two players. I think they're smart picks in the second round because of that opportunity, that chance to be the number one, the stud running back, do it all running back. But I think it's going to be tough for them to be top 20 running backs year one,
Sure.
even with that opportunity.
I mean, at any point, I think Rachaad White is a really nice piece in Tampa Bay, and I am very bullish on his ability to catch the football. I think in this class, he might be the best pass catching running back. But he's behind Leonard Fournette, who continues to catch more and more balls in this offense. And I think it's nice. It's optimistic to say that Rachaad White will just come in and gobble that up. But what about Keyshawn Vaughn? What about Giovanni Bernard that they brought in to play this role? None of them really had a fantasy impact. And will Rachaad White come in as a rookie and do that? Probably not. But it's optimistic to think that he might. Isaiah Spiller is a nice piece longer term. Who I want to talk about is Damian Pierce. Damian Pierce, much like John Mechie, finds himself in a situation where he can not only compete for touches, but starting workload. He's got to beat out Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack had a devastating Achilles injury, and he came back. And last year, in the couple games that we saw, it wasn't promising, did not look good. And I think we're really going to find out this year when we look at guys like Cam Akers and Marlon Mack who are coming back from these Achilles and go, oh, modern medicine and alternative treatment have really pushed us to overcome these devastating injuries, especially for running backs. Or we're going to say, same old injury it's always been. This has been made a greater impact than we thought. And I think Damian Pierce coming into this offense, yeah, the Houston Texans are not going to be an offense that you seek out to have a piece of, but a starting workload is something that you want. And if you look at his, profile, despite low volume at Florida, he's always been a guy on film that jumps out. Really good pass protector. Will throw his body on the line to make blocks. He's got workhorse size. He offers 3-down skill sets. He's a very good pass catcher, and he's a pure runner. And when you think about comps, I actually think of like a Josh Jacobs. I think of like a Kenyon Barner. Those are two names that come to mind when I'm thinking about who does Damian Pierce remind me of. And he didn't get the draft capital that Josh Jacobs did, not a first-round pick, but he has the potential to be one. And like I said, low volume offense in Florida didn't get the touches that I would have liked to see, but the touches that he did get on tape looked really, really solid. So to answer Easy's question from besides, who does Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker, besides those two, which running back has an opportunity long-term to be valuable past the rookie year? I think Damian Pierce is potentially that guy along with Isaiah Spiller.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Isaiah Spiller is mostly because of Austin Eckler and him getting old, or do you like his skill set? Because he was in the talks as the 1A, 1B option to Breece Hall, and then he went to the combine and fell on his face, with lack of a better term, and really disappointed, fell drastically down the real NFL draft, but landed in the perfect landing spot. So are you thinking he actually has a chance to overtake Eckler, or you're hoping of an injury / retirement trade for Eckler in years to come?
Certainly not retirement, but when you look to I mean, think back a couple months. Isaiah Spiller was in talks to be, the 101, the 102. He was competing with Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall for who was going to have the highest draft capital, and then he fell off a cliff. Um,
Yes.
really didn't have a good stretch up to the NFL draft, and his draft stock plummeted. I think when you look long term, Austin Eckler's 26, turning 27. He had his first breakout season as a 25, turning 26-year-old running back. The future for Austin Eckler as a feature back is probably a 2-year window at this point. And when you look to Isaiah Spiller, who's quite young, that leads me to think if he can trend in the right direction and take over this backfield, it might be 2 years out, but that is at least worth a stash, especially in Dynasty. So I would be looking to him long term. I do think he's a good player. I think he has a lot of holes in his games and things to improve. But when you look at his situation, and Austin Eckler hasn't been a figure of health either, there could be opportunity lurking because Roundtree, Jackson, who's the other one they've had there? They all haven't been able to stay healthy.
Yeah, for me, I think he would be more of a short term because of the fourth round draft capital. If say Eckler got hurt, season ender, I would say the Chargers would be likely to draft a high end running back, depending on their because of their window of win now. They need a competent guy. I don't think they can rely on Isaiah Spiller. Maybe he can prove something this year in his first year in the NFL, given that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think that the Chargers would either trade for a guy or sign a guy, a free agent, or draft a higher end Breece Hall type in future drafts. But you never know, and that's one of those things where draft capital, if they don't have much draft capital, they don't really owe the players anything. I know running backs get pushed back and back over the years. They're no longer first round running backs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You want a second round running back is previous year's first and previous generation's first round running backs. So that's my own hesitation with Spiller, but I mean, the landing spot is perfect. His value, like I mentioned earlier, could just spike because of an opportunity in a very, very elite offense. So I understand your ranking. I'm not disputing the ranking. I have him very, very close to you,
Mm-hmm.
basically one spot apart. But if he does produce this year, I'd be looking to maybe get out from under an Isaiah Spiller before the Chargers do something else.
It's totally fair. I think you could say that for pretty
Most of
much
these
all
guys.
these guys other than the top three. I think those guys are very safe. Dameon Pierce, I have some hope for because I really, really do like him. I think where we differ, Hassan Haskins, like if you look at Deonta Foreman leaving this offense, he walks in and is the number 2 for Derrick Henry, who had a pretty notable injury last year. So should things go astray, I think Haskins has a chance at least to get some work. And then Tyrion Davis-Price for the Niners walks into probably the RB2 role. Trey Sermon was very underwhelming in his rookie season, didn't get a lot of opportunity, but the opportunity he did get, he flopped with, unfortunately. And you just have to think these guys spent third round capital on a guy who is going to be backing up someone they got in the 6th. Absolute steal for Elijah Mitchell. But Elijah Mitchell was out with 4 different injuries last year, was elite when he played, but also missed a significant amount of games, unfortunately. So if you had Mitchell last year, you were super pumped when he did play, but you were missing him for, I think it was 6 games last year. So,
Yeah.
who knows what their feeling is about Elijah Mitchell? They clearly don't owe him a lot. They went out and got TDP. Who knows what that looks like? But at least it's a dart throw that you could make in later rounds that I feel okay about.
Before I comment on Travis's post here, which I really like as deep sleepers, and as far as actually I'll just comment on it right now. Keontae Ingram with the Cards. He says Connor's been made of glass, which I agree, and there could be a really good opportunity with Benjamin also kind of not taking advantage of the opportunity in front of him. I think
And Chase
Keontae
Edmonds
Ingram,
gone.
Yep, and Chase Edmonds gone, so that's a really good chance. And then also UDFA Kennedy Brooks with Philadelphia. I mean, we've seen Miles Sanders not stay healthy, and this offense projects to be very good. They project to be up a lot. And Kennedy Brooks signed really quickly. It's a guy that Philadelphia liked and signed quickly once the draft ended. And yeah, very sneaky late round guy. You can stash him on the taxi squad if any of you check your waivers. I'm sure he's available on your waivers. But TDP, Tyrion Davis Price, is a guy that I actually really like. And it seems like everything makes so much sense with the injury history of Elijah Mitchell, the lack of draft capital they spent on him. They're needing a running back because apparently they can't use Deebo Samuel at the running back position anymore. So
Who
they
knows,
needed a
man?
guy. He looks like he's built like him. 6 foot, 219 pounds, big boy. Ran a 4.48. He's got a 90th percentile speed score. This guy is like, if you were to find the perfect player for the Niners, you would basically just print out Tyrion Davis Price, and
He is a good fit. He absolutely is a good
it
fit. And
makes
if
too
you,
much sense for him to
it
get
does.
work.
No, you're right. It does make too much sense. And they've always had a team approach to that backfield. It's always been a committee approach. You look at the guys that have come in relief, like they had Jerick McKinnon over a little bit. They had Jeff Wilson. They had Raheem Mostert. Elijah Mitchell jumped up because Raheem Mostert went down. I mean, they've just had backs in this backfield just ready to step up, and now they might have a couple guys that can do that. And TDP might be the one to do it with Deebo out of the backfield.
Just about every running back that touches the ball in that offense is productive.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Yeah,
I don't want to spend too much time on the quarterbacks and tight ends because honestly, it's a very weak class. Because I do want to get to this draft that we're going to do. I do want to talk some strategy with Dynasty rookie drafts as we near the halfway point here. I'll kind of say my words and you can kind of follow up. Kenny Pickett is the guy I always thought was the most NFL ready. I've been on record saying that, and I do believe he has a chance to step in year one. Who knows what happens with Mitch Trubisky? Like at this point, it's really a toss up. But Pickett, I think, long term is the guy you would want to get into one QB league. He's probably outside the first round. In a super flex league, again, we've seen him as high as 102. I kind of have him in that 105 to 106 range. Yeah, I'm that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and I pretty much agree with you every step of the way, Mac. The only reason that you're going to draft Ritter or Willis is because of their rushing baseline. You're going to have to hope for an injury in front of them to really get that opportunity, but they're worth a stash, probably a second or third round pick in rookie draft super flex leagues. As far as the tight end position, I agree. Trey McBride is the only one to pick. So really what we're going to talk about when we do the mock draft coming up is when to take Pickett and McBride. That's what it's a one quarterback's rookie draft, which most of you do. So we will discuss when to take those one of one onesie positions. When do you think it's worthwhile? Because there's obviously a point where there is in the top 3 rounds, these guys will go. So we will debate and discuss when to take those one guys. I really don't think in a one quarterback league, any of these guys should be drafted.
No. Like Trey McBride is fun. Absolutely. He's very fun. I think like if you look to Zach Ertz, he's 33. They have him on for another year. They're basically just getting their replacement in line for Zach Ertz with Trey McBride. Other than that, like, yeah, you could look to a couple of these other guys. I know Jelani Woods had a really good combine, and people are like, oh, if they wanted Mo Alley Cox to work in Indy, they're just drafting Jelani Woods to be the replacement for him, the incumbent. And sure, cool, get on that train. You're throwing a dart blindly with triple blindfold. Like it's really is a throw, and most of these guys are probably not going to amount to anything. I think what's cool though is when you look at our quarterbacks, they are so different in how we rank them, how they are perceived. I don't know. Like Ritter, I think to me makes the most sense with somebody who can supplant Mariota
Right.
in year one. Matt Corral, Malik Willis, sure. Like Corral probably has a better chance. Malik Willis, I've kind of lost some hope for. I do see his upside, but just for him to fall as far as he did, I lose a little bit of faith. And then Sam Howell, I think, is a really good prospect. Just kind of fell off. So outside of Pickett and Ritter would be like a second round pick for me, I'm not really doing too much at the quarterback position.
Did I tell you what I kind of discovered after the draft? And I think I saw it circulating on Twitter about Malik Willis and that Liberty offense.
Yeah, not a pro style offense. Like they're very
So
concerned
basic
with his ability to run like an NFL style offense.
Yeah, that Liberty offense was so basic that NFL coaches just after seeing that, it would take too much work to get him, get him familiar with a pro style full offense.
Which
That
is
just
crazy.
and we didn't really know that. I mean, even the best NFL mockers had Willis going first round, but the fact that nobody really knew about that is kind of wild.
Yep. So what we're going to do here is do just a 3-round rookie draft. We'll talk through sort of our picks and sort of what we're seeing. We'll just follow ADP here. I've got no limit, so I'll just sort of set players. So Breece Hall will put in as number 1, and it'll come to you at 2.
I mean, this is where the draft really starts. And I think that when you draft for need, that makes things difficult because right now Ken Walker is going at the 102 position. But that's because
did they really call him Ken? I think Kenneth sounds way better. I'm just going to put that out there now.
Sounds way better.
It does.
So at the 102, I think the best player available and what we're going to say throughout the offseason is you should draft Drake London at the 102. And so I'm going Drake London. And this is what I think you should do. This is like, imagine not taking Jamar Chase at the 101 last year because you wanted a running back. Like that's just crazy talk right now.
I mean, it is and it isn't. Najee certainly paid his dividends and made an impact. Like he was running back 4 last year. No slouch by any means, but sure, yeah, Jamar Chase was in hindsight the better play.
He finished running back 4 on the season last year.
Najee, yeah.
Holy, I don't know.
Vet that. I'm pretty sure he did though.
Oh, I believe you. I'm just shocked.
Yeah, no, he was great.
Yeah.
I mean, just Grandpa Ben checking it down all game in those PPR leagues just stacks itself up. Yeah, look, I think you can certainly make an argument here for positional scarcity. If I was sound at running back here and I could potentially trade back for a team who wanted to trade up, I don't see a huge difference between Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams, Christian Watson, Chris Olave. Like, I think Garrett Wilson is certainly much better than all of them, but is it drastically better? No. If I could pick up more capital, I would do it and trade away the running back. But to me, I think most people without trading back here, I think that they are going to go with Kenneth Walker just because of positional scarcity.
Right.
I think that's truly what would be the case. Because again, after James Cook, it really tapers off and you're sort of throwing darts, but Hall, Walker, and Cook seem to be like guys that will get work right away.
Yeah, and I think that's a very fine pick, especially with the news of Rashad Penny already getting hurt. I mean, Rashad Penny's spent 5 years in the league and has only amounted to a handful, a dozen games played. So I think that's a good pick, and I think
handful of dozen. That's like 36.
I don't know. Yeah,
it's like 36 games.
Yeah.
I know.
So at the 104 position spot, I'm gonna go with Treylon Burks.
Treylon Burks. Okay.
The big reason is what I brought up earlier is the opportunity for touches early in a good offense. They traded away AJ Brown for this guy.
Which, for the record, I thought was a bad move.
Oh, I agree. Like, they're hoping he turns into AJ Brown, where they actually had him on the team.
Yeah, like, you don't draft a second round wide receiver, absolutely hit a home run with him, and then trade him away. You pay the man. This is what you drafted him to be, and when the bill comes, you better pay. And they decided, we're going to just give him away. And draft a guy that we need to hit on to replace him. And what
Yeah.
happens when Treylon Burks busts?
And it's inevitable that a couple of these guys will bust. I mean, no one
It's
wants to
true.
hear that, Mac, but not all these guys are going to hit.
It's crazy.
But
Based on my rankings, it's going to be Garrett Wilson for me here if I had the choice. And I wouldn't do anything crazy with this pick. I wouldn't trade it back at this point because I don't want to let Garrett Wilson fall any further. So I would absolutely hit here at the 105 and enjoy Garrett Wilson on my team. Probably the best wide receiver in this class. Opportunity is probably just a little bit better for Drake London.
And for the listeners, does it matter really what you have on your team right now, or are
No.
you? And that's I think what we need to remember is it doesn't matter if you're stacked at the wide receiver position. I don't care how many good wide receivers you have. It's not worth it to take a Isaiah Spiller here over a Garrett Wilson. It's just not.
No, God, no.
So
And Isaiah Spiller has climbed up rookie rankings. Like his ADP is much higher than it was 2 weeks ago when we drafted.
no, absolutely. Isaiah Spiller was in the second round.
Yes, I almost got him at
Yeah.
the 201. I had
Yeah.
what did I have? I think I had the 112. I almost got him. Yeah, 106 comes to you. I know you're not a big Chris Olave fan.
So this is the point where I would absolutely try to trade back because there's going
I
to be
agree.
a guy that loves Chris Olave or that loves
James
Jameson
Cook.
Williams or James Cook for that
Yep.
example exactly.
The last running back kind of hanging there.
Absolutely. And they need the running back. So trading back here to get a similar tier guy. You can trade back and get into this early second and get a Dameon Pierce and get production early, potentially, like Mac was saying. So, and
what would you, okay, so let's just say sitting here right now.
We have to sit here right now and make the pick.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, let's just say team 110. They're team 10, they're sitting at the 10th pick. They want to come up and trade the 6th pick for the 10th pick, and they'll also give you their second. Let's just say
the 210.
The Perfect. 210.
Love that.
Are you entertaining that at that point?
I think I would very much so. I would love to entertain that deal.
And I think if you're okay with losing out on James Cook and maybe even Dameon Pierce and settling at wide receiver for the leftover of Olave, Williams, Watson, Moore, the worst thing that could happen is that all 4 wide receivers go and you land James Cook. That's the absolute worst thing that happens. Or it goes in order and you're left with Christian Watson.
Which I'm perfectly fine with. And there's a tier break. Absolutely. So
agreed.
Looking at if you're part of the Discord, we'll share our rankings to the Discord, and then we have tiers in there. And you don't want to maybe go to the 112 because there's a drop in tiers. You don't really want a George Pickens, in my opinion. So I'd rather exactly get to the 110. That was a great point, Mac. And but I'm having trouble here. I think I would probably go James Cook.
Yep.
In my spot. So we'll just go the 106. James Cook. For all the reasons that we mentioned, the opportunity potentially year one, Singletary just really ain't it. He did okay, but they drafted James Cook for a reason. He's got the name value of Dalvin's brother, so you can trade him for a good piece. And he's on one of the best offenses in the NFL. So he could be a good trade piece year one.
And this is going to be something that you're going to see happen in your Dynasty rookie drafts is people that want this last running back because the conviction for James Cook playing for the Buffalo Bills in a high-powered offense is much stronger than it is for Dameon Pierce, who has an opportunity to be the lead back for the Texans. There's a big difference.
The Texans.
There's a big difference between the two, in my opinion, and you're going to see this scarcity show its hand in the first round. Absolutely. So it's going to be fighting for James Cook that a lot of owners are going to do. And if you have the ability to sell that and you're not interested in it, absolutely go ahead and do that. Olave, Williams, Watson is kind of where I would be looking. I think Isaiah Spiller's ADP right here is just crazy. I would go Christian Watson, and that's the pick that I'm going to make here naturally where my name is. Look at how that worked out. Isn't that beautiful?
Perfect. Wow. Love that.
If you missed my rant on Christian Watson, you can just rewind the episode and find that that spot. Landon would definitely give us a timestamp for that.
I can absolutely do that. For
No,
you, Mac.
it's yeah. I don't need to say anything more.
Yep.
Christian Watson is ahead of Jameson Williams for me.
So, and here's a point where you still need to understand ADP. At the 108, Chris Olave is up at the top of the ADP, and see people seem to really like him. He's not in my rankings that high, so I would go Jameson Williams here at the 108. It is a waiting game for him. You need to sit and wait on James Williams a little bit till probably October, but he still has a name value. He will be on the Detroit Lions, so you have the stink of the Lions around him. Whereas like the Watsons, the Sky Moores of the world, heck, the Olaves and the Pickens, they're on better teams. So it might take some doing if you want to trade this guy, but I have seen some people try to acquire Jameson Williams in a few leagues because they really like the talent. Alabama receiver, they always seem to do
and
well.
that's one thing to keep in your mind at this point. If no one's willing to trade with you, just go ahead and draft the who you think is the best talent, regardless of position, or who has the biggest name value. Because you're right, a Chris Olave and a Jameson Williams, looking back, are going to be names that people are just they've got that name value. They're like, ooh, if I get Jameson Williams on my team, that looks and feels really nice, and they're willing to pay up for that instead of a guy like Sky Moore, let's just say, who flashed at the combine, who turned a lot of heads, but doesn't have that recognition that he had from his college days. So you can always draft best player available and work trades later. I do it every single year. I'll continue to do it moving forward. If no one's willing to trade with you, draft the best player.
Yep. That's a really good strategy that people need to remember is when you draft for best player available rather than need, you're going to get value later in trades.
Right.
When that happens.
You can get who you want indirectly. The
Yeah.
worst thing you can do is trade for a pick a week before your draft because it'll be at an all-time premium because everyone's got that rookie hype going, and then the draft happens and it unfolds completely different than you thought, and the player that you wanted is gone, or they fell, around later, and you're just sitting there going, man, I could have played my hand so differently had I just waited.
Yep.
So who are you picking here at the 108?
Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams. It's a good pick. That's probably who I would have went to. Looking at the board here, like Chris Olave, I still think is the best talent, and I'm gonna just slot him in here. I don't want to put him too far. Again, I think he's a little bit of a project going to New Orleans, with Jarvis Landry landing there, Michael Thomas making a return, Alvin Kamara still having a good chunk of the workload. Like, he's not going to be in line for work right away, unfortunately, but give it a year or two and he could be solid. Who knows if Michael Thomas doesn't report to camp, doesn't play for this team in 2022, different story. You'll see Chris Olave get a bump.
Yeah. And for me here at the 110, I am considering between Isaiah Spiller and Sky Moore. Both are on good offenses. Both have the potential to have an impact year one. There is the value of the running back position and having so much value. And if something happens to Eckler, you could sell Isaiah Spiller for a king's ransom. But Sky Moore is also getting a lot of hype as well. I mean, he's not a big guy, 5'10", 195, but he seems to have a good resume in college. Just man, oh man, with the Kansas City glow, has it faded a little bit, Mac? Are people just down on Kansas City? I mean, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire that you can't trade off your team if you have him for the world. And now, I mean, Tyreek Hill being gone, McCole Hardman, you have now Sky Moore, you have the only really guy you want is Travis Kelce, but he's getting old.
Here's what I will say about Sky Moore. I think drafting him too far from your initial pre-NFL draft ranking is learning nothing from the Clyde Edwards-Helaire situation. I go back to that draft and I look at our pre-draft rankings and I go, we had Clyde Edwards-Helaire as the 6th ranked running back in that class. And then after the draft happened, he lands with Kansas City. We're going, man, he's the running back 2 behind Jonathan Taylor. And kudos to you. You were still very high on Jonathan Taylor. You were like, no, he's the one. But there was an argument to, man, look at this guy. You know, they took him over Jonathan Taylor. Clearly, there's something to do with his game that Kansas City really, really likes. It turns out they wanted him to be a pass catcher. That hasn't materialized. And we sort of place too much emphasis and too much focus on the landing spot. And yes, the landing spot is great, but it's not the be all end all for a player. So I just think, like, when we're talking about George Pickens, who despite his injury, I still think is a better talent than Sky Moore, I'm leaning that direction.
But if I
also like
Sky Moore,
Jahan Dotson too.
You're not gonna pick him, so I'm gonna go Sky Moore at the 110 because I think that's what people are gonna do. So I'm going Sky Moore.
But we are not the people, Lando.
Wow.
I like Sky Moore. I took him in myself at the 110, and I think he's gonna be all right in Kansas City. Did you hear? I heard today on the Footballers show that Clyde Edwards-Helaire had gallbladder surgery last offseason and dropped down to like 160 pounds.
Wow.
So he did not really have a very good offseason. They could explain
why they got Ronald Jones.
Crappy year he had this past year, really being out of it, not having a good offseason. So we'll see what happens. I don't think Clyde Edwards is dead by any means, but I sure don't want him.
I mean, are you buying him in Dynasty though? That's the question.
No.
So
I've been burned by him too many times.
Right.
And that's my problem, is that I've had him in a couple leagues and I don't want him anymore. I think there's a way we need to rank him at the opportunity that presents in front of him on still a good team. I won't have him. I'm going to pass on him every chance I get. Sure. But I think there's still some value there. There's some value to trade low for him. I would trade him off my team for less than what he's worth.
Interesting.
So
I'm going to go for my running back 4 here in Dameon Pierce. I'm going to stop this run of wide receiver, even though there's still George Pickens and Jahan Dotson on the board. I'm going to put in Dameon Pierce. Again, refer back to the rant earlier in the episode if you want to hear some love for Dameon Pierce.
Perfect. And here I think I'm surprised that you didn't go Isaiah Spiller here. And I think I will. Man, oh man, this is tough. Jahan Dotson is a very interesting player. We talked about it earlier, the draft capital that's spent and the opportunities he'll have, the long leash he'll have as a young, he's only 22 years old, 5'11". You can't just think of Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz will be a 1-year quarterback. Hopefully the Washington Commanders have a new quarterback next year, hopefully a stud rookie quarterback. But but you also have to understand the value when you're drafting this position, because Jahan Dotson doesn't have a lot of value. He slips in every single draft. You will get value on him every chance you get. There's no point in reaching for him because you trade back, you'll probably get him because he's on the Commanders and because people didn't really like him. He's not a big guy. He's 5'11", 182. He's a small wide receiver, but I think he's a very talented wide receiver. And like I mentioned,
is he not just Terry McLaurin wearing a different number?
Pretty well. They didn't. I mean, Terry wants to be paid, so they had to make sure that they're covered, and they got him.
They spent more draft capital on Jahan Dotson than they did on Terry McLaurin by a couple rounds.
Yeah,
did they
Terry
not?
was a third
rounder,
if you guys don't remember. So I'm going to take Spiller based on the tradability, the value of the running back position.
Wow.
And that's what you guys need to consider when drafting, not just for needs, not just for the draft capital at the NFL. This is the third piece, the value, the value of the player and you're going Jahan Dotson right away, auto pick.
I just wanted to put him in that spot because we've actually had some questions on the Discord. Again, join the Discord. Link to that will be in the episode description, but we've had a couple questions of how do I set up my rookie drafts? How do I do this supplemental draft that's only a couple rounds it's in linear fashion. So after the first 12 or however many picks your league is, after that many picks, you are recycling back to the number one, and you are working your way through 1 through 10 or 1 through 12 over and over and over again, just like the NFL draft. And the thought is the teams that are the worst in your league should get the better players in each round, and the teams that are the better teams should get the worst in each round to help balance the league. If you do it snake style, you just give more power to the better teams. You create a bigger imbalance, and that's not what we want.
No, then the Dynasty League is forever. You want different players to win the league every single year and gain value at the draft. Draft picks are so valuable. You'll find that people are willing to trade anything, just about anything,
Yep.
for those draft picks
the
week before your rookie draft, those players actually, they want the opportunity to take who they want. And you can really stock up on veterans if you trade away your rookie picks.
And if your Dynasty League gets stale, you can implement what we did in that we'd stash a little bit of money away each year for a bank. And then as soon as somebody wins the league 2 years in a row or a total of 3 times, we start the league over.
Yep.
So all money that's been banked gets paid out to that person who wins. We restart it. If people want to, leave the league at that point, cool. But at least it keeps it fun. You don't get teams that are just wildly overpowered and they win year over year over year. Nobody wants to be stuck in that. So that could be something that you pop into your leagues as well.
Absolutely right. So here, I actually really like Rachaad White here out of Tampa Bay. Our boy Travis mentioned that he could be the 1-for-1 handcuff to Leonard Fournette. So I think Rachaad White is a sneaky little handcuff. He's probably one of the most valuable handcuffs potentially in the league year one.
And I'm going right away, George Pickens.
Love it. I'll go again, running back Tyler Algier, who has a good opportunity in Atlanta.
Wow.
And I will come right back with Alec Pierce.
Ooh.
Wow.
Interesting. I'm going to go running back again. Tyrion Davis-Price. We spoke about him earlier out of San Francisco.
Okay, look at this. We're going like blow for blow right now.
Wow.
I think this is the point in a 1 QB league. You could probably reach here and get yourself a little Kenny Pickett.
And I will reach for the tight end Trey McBride out of Arizona.
Everything's falling off the rails, folks.
And this is where I would take the onesie positions. I think this is a good opportunity to take that with Zach Ertz in Arizona. Getting older, I think he's 30 years old now. I think Trey McBride is a really good tight end, and I think he'll get an opportunity in a year probably to get that chance.
John Mechie's the pick for me next after Trey McBride. I think of the wide receivers left has a really good opportunity to make an impact. So I'm going John Mechie.
Cool. I like David Bell here. Cleveland wide receiver.
Wow.
Good offense.
Yep. Can I turn off this? Yes. Thank the Lord.
Only took 2 rounds.
Yeah. I'll go Zamir White.
I like that. I think that's I like Zamir White, actually. And Mac, I have a question for you before I continue. When do you consider drafting your own handcuffs? So say you're an Antonio Gibson, say you're a Cam Akers, say you're a James Conner owner. Are you looking for your specific handcuff, or when are you looking for your handcuff?
I'm just looking for best player, best prospect, honestly.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to take, let's say, Zamir White over Rachaad White because I have Josh Jacobs. If I have Leonard Fournette, I'm not running out to get Rachaad White, even though I think Rachaad White is a much better prospect than Zamir White. I'm not seeking the one over the other. I'm always looking for Rachaad White no matter what. And I think that goes kind of back to what we talk about in redraft. Is like the better player is the better player. But in order for you to reap the benefit of a backup, you need to sustain an injury to your starter in order to have, found value. So why not just take, in this case, who you think is the better player, who has the best opportunity? And then if injury does happen to Leonard Fournette, you can turn around and either play that player, pick up a player without losing someone, or turn around to the Leonard Fournette owner and say, what are you going to give me?
Right. Exactly. So that's a very good point. You rather than hedging against yourself,
You're
you
bad,
have
yeah.
someone else's backup running back. So I'm going to go with a guy that was shouted out as well by Travis and Jalen Tolbert out of Dallas.
Okay. I might have to. Oh, no, I don't have to scroll. Boom. Do you remember when we mocked Treylon Burks to the Cowboys and we thought that was like the coolest and most fun
Oh
idea?
yeah. Oh yeah.
And then the Titans had different ideas.
The Titans had much different ideas. Slapped it in our face.
That's right. I am gonna go in the third round, and we're in two sleeper territory for everybody who loves that. I'm gonna go with Wan'Dale Robinson for the
Hey,
New York Giants.
shout out Kyle Paz, his
Hey,
boy. I'm gonna go Brian Robinson out of Washington.
this is a guy that just continues to fall down
Mhm.
my rankings.
I don't mind him.
It's going to be completely dependent on if Antonio Gibson can continue to make a step forward, but I'm not hopeful.
Not into him. All right.
No, I'll take Hassan Haskins here on the off chance that something happens to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I like his opportunity a little bit more than some of the other guys on the list, but Keontae Ingram, like Big Travie from the Fantasy Whisperer, said he likes him. He's a Cardinals, sorry, not a Cardinals fan. Johnny's a Cardinals fan.
Yeah, Travis is a Green Bay fan, isn't he?
He is, and a Rams fan. He does live in LA, so I got to give that to him.
Right. I'm gonna go Kyron Williams again,
Ugh.
handcuff territory.
You like him? You like his opportunity this year with Sony gone?
I mean,
or do you think he's just
I think he's just a handcuff. I wouldn't say I love the talent of Kyron Williams, but in handcuff territory, the Rams are a good offense, and if something happens to Cam Akers, there's a path.
Okay. I'm going to put somebody up here that we didn't talk about at all this show, but I really think he has a small chance, and that's Khalil Shakir for the Buffalo Bills. He was in consideration for my top 12. He currently sits at 13 for me. So I didn't get to talk about him, but I do think that when you look at the Buffalo offense with how pass happy they are, you got some pieces missing from last year. Cole Beasley's no longer with the team. Emmanuel Sanders. It's Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs. They brought in OJ Howard, and they've got Dawson Knox and now James Cook. Like, there is a potential for Shakir to come in and be like a tertiary piece that could have some home run plays. So he might be a guy that flashes here and there, but I'll have him on my team when he does.
Yep, sounds good.
Yep.
I thought you were going to go with Romeo Dubs. I
Nah, I'm not crazy. Come on.
Already. Okay, Keontae Ingram at the 306. I'm taking all Big Travis players.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that this board has a little bit more green than we gave it credit for in the beginning. And again, it's that running back love. We all kind of want to hit and grab that Elijah Mitchell from last year. And who knows who it will be out of these players. We could look back and go, oh man, it was Zamir White. Who knows? It was Isaiah Spiller. It was Damian Pierce. We don't know. It's good to take those shots, but I feel like wide receiver has materialized in the last couple of years a lot quicker than it has in recent. Instead of that year 3 leap, it's like, can they make an impact in year 1?
Yeah, these late round wide receivers need to command targets, and that's hard to do. Now, that's why we take wide receivers early in the rounds, and I'm confident going Drake London. Whereas, really, a running back in this, it's a great time to take dart throws at running backs late in your drafts because of the frequency that running backs get injured, the opportunities that they get literally handed to them, rather than having to really earn targets like a Wan'Dale Robinson or Shakir would need to do.
I'm going tight end too. Greg Dulcich for the Denver Broncos. They lost Noah Fant. They've got Russell Wilson at quarterback now. And if Albert O doesn't take the step forward that we all think he probably should, I mean, I saw PFF have Albert O as a top 5 dynasty tight end.
Yep.
Hasn't even played a snap with Russell Wilson yet, and he's already getting that kind of praise. Dulcich might be a guy that comes in and challenges him for that position. So it's worth a stash, in the 30 some odd picks into this thing.
Now it's not Dulcich, it's Dulcich.
I think so.
Okay.
Kind of seems like it would be Dulcich.
Yeah.
Dulcich?
I don't know.
Maybe. I could be wrong.
Just a question. We pronounce his name 2 different ways. So I figured, you know what? Let's I want to ask you in case
Of
you
all
knew
my
for a
years
fact.
reading attendances, I'm going to go with Dulcich, but I could be absolutely
Hey,
wrong.
and of all people, I do absolutely trust you. And you know
It's
what?
going to be Dulcich, just so you know that.
um, Desmond Ritter, I'm gonna take at the
I was going to go
308.
there. I was going to go there next if you didn't, so I am pleased to see you do that. What do you think about Velas Jones, the 25-year-old rookie for the Chicago Bears?
Don't love him. Also, don't really like Tyquan Thornton either.
I thought that was a really weird pick for the
A lot of good players were on the board when they took him, so they must know something. I mean, he's the fastest guy, is that right? In the 4.28 40-yard dash, which is
Yep.
people are still trying to chase that speed.
Yep.
Ooh,
Now, is it Tyler Beatty or Batty?
I gotta say it's Batty.
Oh man, I thought it was Beatty.
Tyler Beatty. Here we go. I don't know.
It should be Beatty, but based on the English language, it'd probably be Batty.
Batty.
I believe it is Batty actually. But dude, like, look at all the question marks to the Baltimore backfield. Still, is J.K. Dobbins healthy? Will we have Gus Edwards back? Look at the multitude of backs that they brought in to try to patch holes.
Yeah.
Batty could get some work.
Both could start the year on the pup, which
Yep.
absolutely lends it to Batty.
Batty.
I'm going to go Jelani Woods here at the 310.
You couldn't stay away.
I mean, no.
The successor to Gigantor.
Correct.
All right. Well, I see a lot of people taking a shot on Isaiah Pacheco.
Yep.
And I just, with them bringing in Ronald Jones, struggling with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I just don't see it. So I'm gonna go with my boy Romeo. I'll take the shot here. Yeah.
So with the Mr. Irrelevant here at the last pick in the 3rd round, I've seen a lot of love for Pierre Strong. Like
I was gonna say, are you going Malik Willis?
I don't mind Malik Willis here. I have Matt Corral technically as my second ranked, and based on opportunity. But again, the Carolina offense is just not great. A guy that I like, Mac, that we both have drafted later in drafts is Jerome Ford. So I'm gonna go him here. It doesn't seem, and now he's typically a 5th round pick, not typically a back of the 3rd.
Sure.
But hey, Cleveland's on the up and up. I don't think that Kareem Hunt is long for the Browns either. And so I think there could be an opportunity for him going forward.
Beautiful. Well, look, there's our little rookie draft, a little bit of strategy there. Couple things. If there's a player on the board, let's just say going back to, team 6, they've got a choice to get James Cook on their team. They don't necessarily need any more running backs. They're happy with any one of those 4 wide receivers. Could they trade back and pick up some value and still get one of those 4 wide receivers? Absolutely. So anytime you can trade back and pick up more capital or pick up more pieces, that's always going to be advantageous. When you can't make that happen, draft the best player available and try to work a trade. That's always going to be another viable option for you.
And those are 2 really good points. And my last one, we just said it, take shots on running backs later in the draft. These backups that could see a role early in their career, that could spike their value. There's one of these guys is going to be relevant year 1. Multiple could be relevant year 1. And that's how you really are able to get depth and trade away these players that all of a sudden have an opportunity that you didn't spend really much draft capital on at all.
And you don't have to go after your backup. You can go after somebody else's. And when an injury happens, you don't have to take a loss to gain a player. You can sort of do that simultaneously as picking up somebody and having somebody to trade. So just some things that you can keep in mind for your rookie drafts as you guys navigate that territory. I know those drafts are coming up. Again, if you guys want to join the Discord, go ahead and grab that in the episode description. I know that some of you in here are already in there, but if you want any feedback on your trades, on your drafts, even on your DFS, we can't play anymore, unfortunately, in where we live, but we can certainly give you some feedback. So direct line to us, you should definitely check it out. And Lando said, we're going to have pretty consistent schedule here. We're going to try to do this every single Tuesday night and then get some videos coming to you, rookie profiles, some sort of guides,
Auction draft strategies.
auction draft strategy,
Mac
lots
is
of
a
stuff.
Very good auction draft player.
So Monday, Friday, we're going to try to release those videos. We're going to try and do this on Tuesday. So keep your eyes out for that, and appreciate you guys being in here. And until next time, we'll see you.